shopping list?
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted it out of my head so we can podcast.
All right, well, let's.
Unencumbered.
This is now the introduction.
Perfect.
Look, you initiated maybe your first cold open.
Whoa.
You didn't even know it.
And it was all about shopping, which somehow does not surprise me.
That makes sense. Makes sense.
Makes total sense.
Well, you might as well take it away.
Okay, welcome to another episode of I Love This, You Should Too, a podcast with me, Samantha, and him, who is currently chugging milk tea, Indy.
I'm not chugging it.
Oh, sorry, you were milking it for every drop.
I was sipping it, but it was the end of the bottle, so I had to, you turn it upside down.
Okay, yeah. It just looked very dramatic.
Some delicious Kirin milk tea, which is in my top 3 favorite milk teas.
Whoa.
Milk tea. It's great.
I think Kirin's my favorite, but I don't have a good enough, sample pool to pull from.
Well, when we go to Japan, we're going to have so much milk tea.
Milk tea it up.
Taiwan is also a good milk tea country.
I've heard in Tokyo there's, ramen vending machines.
Oh, sure, yeah. You can get anything in a vending machine
I
in
heard
Japan.
you can get bread.
Yeah.
Canned bread.
You can get fruit cups, but not like our kind of fruit cup, fresh fruit.
Oh.
And desserts with cream and
fancy.
stuff.
Okay, when we go to Tokyo eventually, I want to have an entire day where we eat only out of vending machines.
You're not going to want to.
No?
Then you're still missing out on all the other Japanese food.
Yeah, true. Okay, maybe
If you include, there's some restaurants where you go and you essentially order on a vending machine, and some of them look like late 80s vending machines, or earlier even. And there's these big push button ones. You put in your coins and a piece of paper comes out. And then you've ordered, and then you take that to the chef, and then they make it for you.
Oh, that's neat. Okay, yeah, I
so if we
that
have
as
that
vending
kind,
machine.
then yeah.
Okay, great.
There's some good noodle places like that.
Oh, I just want noodles now.
I went to a good soba place, and I walked up, and no one would talk to me when I sat down at this bar. And I was like, I don't understand what's going on. So I just looked around, and then I saw this machine in the corner. And it looked old-timey, because it was wood-paneled and had big push and pull levers on it, and I successfully ordered my soba that way.
That's amazing.
It was pretty sweet. Did we talk about what show this is?
I already introduced the show. I forgot to introduce the network. So we are proud members of the Alberta Podcast Network, which is locally grown and community supported.
Before we get into everything, let's thank our first sponsor of the episode, and that is the Alberta Blue Cross. Even if you're a busy business owner with more meetings than hours in a day, you can be calm and collected when your group benefit plan is taken care of by Alberta Blue Cross. Your employees can manage their own health, dental, life, and disability coverage online, anytime, on any device, making it easier for them and for you. To learn more about Alberta Blue Cross and explore your options, head to ab.bluecross.ca. All right, well, today we are each going to have a little spoiler-free thing of the week, and then Sam will tell us what we are going to watch for the big watch next week. But until we do that, Samantha, what's your thing of the week?
My thing of the week is a book. Just getting back to basics here, because, we haven't done a book in a while.
A week ago, didn't we?
Maybe. Okay. We're getting back to basics with the same thing I always do. And it's a book. So this book is called It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. It was published in 2016. And the reason I'm doing it now is because it's kind of become re-popular. It's all of a sudden it's blown up. And I think I saw it on my Instagram stories 6 times in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, it's like high-waisted acid-wash jeans. I thought I was free of them.
We thought we were done with it.
And here we go again.
Yeah. So of course I had to read it, and the library, which recognizes things that are popular, had a 7-day rental on this book. So I read it, and it was way more complex and way better than I thought it was going to be.
So what's it about?
So it explores kind of the relationship between abusive parents who are kind of abusive to each other, and then the children who have to live in those situations, and then when the children grow up, kind of what happens to them. Mm-hmm. And it features couple, and it includes some domestic violence, so it might be a little hard for people to listen to. But it
or
is...
read. Some people use their eyes.
Yes, right. Or read. But it was written to advocate for domestic violence victims. And so Colleen Hoover is a social worker, or a former social worker. I think she's a full-time author now. Mm-hmm. And she wrote it, and in it she described the relationship between her mother and father.
Okay, so it's like semi-autobiographical?
There was some stuff, there's a really great chapter at the end written by Hoover and voiced by Hoover, who where she kind of goes over what was real and what wasn't to kind of clear the air. And her father has passed on, and her mother gave her like permission to kind of use their story as a kind of building block for this novel. So this novel has Lily, and Lily is the child of the abusive kind of family, and it goes from her growing up all the way to starting her own business, so you kind of get a big span of her life, and some people she meets, and how she kind of ends up being like her parents, even though she does absolutely everything in her life she can, including moving far, far away from them, to not become them.
Interesting. It's like that kind of cycles of violence. Or
yeah, it really, it explores
very Shining,
that.
Perhaps?
Yeah.
Would you say this is a good companion piece to The Shining?
No.
Oh, okay. What is it about this one that, when you said it was way better than you expected, what was it that kind of spoke to you?
So I kind of thought that this was going to be like a summer beach read kind of thing.
You do love your beach reads.
So I was expecting kind of a like soapy love story kind of thing, and like the cover looks like a lot of those books that are like, you know, classic beach read. And so this had so many layers to it, and it really kind of covered a lot of really interesting facets of domestic abuse and how survivors can kind of have to come up against some really, really hard decisions. Mm-hmm. And so I don't want to give anything away because it is kind of twisty and turny towards the end. But Lily definitely goes on this journey, and you learn a lot about her backstory as well as her like current journey in the book, and kind of how everybody fits into her life. So if you're looking for a more complex beach read,
so it's still for the beach?
I really enjoyed it. It was like a nice, easy to read book. It was well written. And I don't know, if you're looking for something a little heavier with a little bit more substance.
Okay, so like maybe a cloudy day at the beach?
Yeah, cloudy day,
okay.
Maybe a little wind.
Oh.
But still like nice to be on the beach.
It's still a beach.
No mosquitoes.
I know I often throw out a lot of film terms and such. Could you define a beach read?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, like, of course, you asked me a question and, like, my brain is blank, even though I read 100 books a year.
How many of those would you say are beach reads?
Probably, like, 75%.
Okay.
They're, like, feel good. They might have a little bit of emotionality in them. Is that a word?
I don't think so, but
okay,
I get what you mean. Yeah. It should be a word.
It should
worked.
Be. It feels like a word. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's a little bit of emotion in them, but it's not going to like touch on any like really sore subjects or anything that's like too deep. So you can enjoy a story. Lots of times they're like love stories, so you can enjoy like a vacation love story.
Do you feel better after than when you started? Is that kind of the...
Yeah.
That's what a beach read should do?
Yeah, usually they're a little uplifting, and they're kind of... like, yeah, they leave you feeling nice.
Okay.
So it's not like this one maybe didn't leave me with like 100% feeling nice. I definitely was thinking about it after I finished, after I returned it to the library, but it definitely wasn't as light as I would like if I was looking for something kind of mindless.
Okay. You know what I read usually. Do I read any beach reads and just don't know it?
No.
I don't read beach reads.
No.
Maybe for a upcoming episode, you could recommend me something that you consider like a real beach read.
Mm-hmm.
And a good one of those, and then I can read it and see if I like beach reads, because I honestly don't know if I know a good beach read.
Okay, well, we'll have to do that.
Okay.
Because, yeah, I think that would be fun. So, yeah, I don't know. I think this is a really good book if you're looking for something a little more complex than your average beach read. And a sequel is coming out. It's called It Starts With Us, and it comes out in October.
What was the title of the original book?
It Ends With Us.
Oh, that's okay. I thought it was that.
And then the sequel is It Starts With Us, and it comes out in October. So you have some reading.
Is it
ready.
a prequel?
No.
It is a sequel. Perhaps it is Lily, the main character, and now she is having a family and she's starting anew and changing that cycle.
Maybe.
You're being coy. Do you actually know what it's about?
I do, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't want to give it away because it kind of gives away the ending of the first book.
Sure.
So we'll just leave it at that. You can find it online if you really want to read a synopsis, but it's I think going to be a really nice kind of secondary book to the original.
And are you excited for that one?
I am. I'm kind of sad. I kind of thought it was already out. So I'm kind of sad that it comes out in October and it's going to be a few months until I can read it. So that was It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, which was published in 2016 and became a New York Times bestseller this January.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. Do you know about booktok?
I think I do, but I think I might mean something different than what you mean. What do you mean?
So like TikTok.
Oh, talk T-O-K.
Yeah.
Vaguely.
Okay, so booktok.
I know a different booktok.
I don't know a whole bunch about it. I kind of learned about it while I was just doing some background research on this book. But so booktok is a community of people who love books and love to make recommendations and reviews on books. And they do it in like 3 to 5 minute kind of reviews.
Okay, so booktok, T-A-L-K,
Yeah.
is essentially that. And
Oh.
for library programs, I've written quite a few book talks that then any teacher can read in their school. Because the ones I write are for children's literature, getting kids to read these books. And I write like a quick, mine are usually only like 1 to 2 minutes. And you write it, you try to give it a little hook that makes someone want to read it and give you a synopsis about what it's about without giving away too much. So it sounds like it's just that in TikTok format.
Yeah, so basically if you're like, oh, I really love this series, you can find like the booktok hashtag for that series.
Mhm.
And then a lot of times you'll find a like book talker saying like, if you liked this series, you'll probably like this
The reader
series.
likes.
And it'll just kind of like go from there.
Huh. This is kind of my job. This is a part of my
Yeah,
job. I
yeah.
didn't know it was on TikTok because I don't, I'm too
Do you
old for TikTok.
So yeah, so it's because of booktok that Hoover's book became a New York Times bestseller.
Good for her.
Yeah, which
That's
I
nice.
like to see because something that came out in 2016 becoming a New York Times bestseller in 2022 is kind of like unheard of.
It's kind of like how Stranger Things is getting all these 80s bands like a whole new
Yeah,
audience.
exactly. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. And you learned a whole bunch today too.
I sure did. I'm so excited for beach reads now.
Yeah.
Next time we go to a beach, I'm going to beach it up real hard.
Yeah, okay. Okay, Indy, it is your turn. What are you into this week?
I'm going books too.
Woohoo! Books for everybody.
But you know how I can't do a book
No.
on this? Because the way I talk about things, I don't like to give away books. Well, I guess I don't for anything, but like I did with Vonnegut, I would just do a bunch and go, here's something fun about this
Like a
book.
big chunk, yeah.
So my thing of the week are the graphic novels of Mariko Tamaki. So Mariko Tamaki is a writer and visual artist. She's written a bunch of novels, and she's had runs with both Marvel and DC and some other independent comics as well. But what I want to talk about are her few non-superhero graphic novels because I think they are brilliant. Her works often, but not exclusively, deal with young, gay, female protagonists, but I think they're engaging for anyone who can relate to ideas of not fitting in, of alienation, and she writes for kids and teenagers, and I think every teenager kind of feels like that. I think every adult who like really thinks about things probably feels like that too.
Yeah.
She has this ability to capture the ephemeral parts of youth that not many writers have. It's like having the vocabulary and experience of an adult, but talking about the things you've experienced as a child, but as if you were experiencing them for the first time. It is simultaneously the oddest combination of being worldly and distant, but everything being so like fresh and brutal, like it is when you are a teenager. And a lot of them, they're love stories and things like that, and everything is so raw, and you feel that like you would when you were 16 going through it. But she has this uncanny ability to also filter that through her own like life experience. Like it feels like an older audience voice that is presenting all of this, but still has the freshness of youth. It's hard to describe, but it's quite unique, I find.
It sounds like, I think I get it. It sounds like a very cool way to transport yourself to another time.
I read a lot of books that are targeted at kids and teenagers, and it seems like so many of those writers just completely forgot what it was actually like, and Tamaki does not. She remembers. She knows what it is like. So the first one of hers, I think this was her first one, from 2008, there is one called Skim, and she did this with her cousin Jillian Tamaki, and it's about a teenage girl and her, I'm going to say, romantic feelings towards her female teacher, and some things kind of go on. A lot of things are left ambiguous, and it's kind of creepy, but since we are experiencing it through the student's point of view, it's also kind of romantic.
Right.
Because to her it is, but like I was saying, we also get this older view outside, and we know that it's wrong and it's creepy, but it has like both of those.
Yeah.
Because that's what Tamaki does really well, is having that melodramatic youth at its core, but then also the like harshness of the real situation. And then there is also like a B story about a classmate who has committed suicide and all the things that go with that. We don't deal with that person, but the fallout around the school and how people are suddenly like, oh yeah, that was my best friend, or they're treating people differently, or they're using this tragedy for their own gain, essentially. And that's kind of a B story. And it's really minimal in a lot of ways. It's not a big story. Not a lot happens. There's not a lot of dialogue, but it is just like a great little slice of life. I think there's something in there that a lot of people could relate to. I like the art as well. I'm not sure because I don't really have a good like art history background of any sort, but it kind of reminds me of Japanese art of the like 14th century. And I think that's probably intentional. I'm not sure though, but that's a good one. It's called Skim. Then she did one called Emiko Superstar. And this is about a young woman who feels trapped in her suburban life. And it's at its heart just like a story about finding yourself, finding your voice, and finding maybe some sort of authenticity. Because even with counterculture of all sorts, like people who are like, oh, I'm punk, I don't like fall into your mainstream, man. But they're often doing the exact same thing, but being counterculture just for the sake of being counterculture. Like, do you actually want all those things, or are you just doing it because it means something?
I remember people like that.
It's kind of the same reasons as why people are very much like typical in a lot of times. You're trying to fit into a mold, and it kind of deals with that a little bit, so that's fun.
Interesting. That seems very high school.
Yeah, most of her things take place in high school.
Okay. Yeah, no, I just remember that where people were just being edgy to be edgy.
Yeah.
Not like delving deeper into what it all actually meant.
Me and my friends are so different from everyone. We wear all the exact same things. Yeah. We wear the same music. And if you listen to the same music and if you do anything different, then like you're not one of us.
No.
So you're different, but all exactly the same?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Or like, I'm alternative because I don't wear pink flip-flops, I wear black flip-flops, and it's like, you're not, you just got a different color.
It's hard to be hardcore in flip-flops.
It's very true. It's very, very true.
Then in 2014, She, again, collaborated with her cousin Jillian Tamaki and did the graphic novel This One Summer, which I am now holding because this is, I don't know if this is my favorite of hers, but goddamn, it's so good.
You finished it. I looked at you across the couch because we were out in
the wilderness. A couch in the wilderness.
Which, if you've seen it, it makes sense. And you looked like emotional.
There was a lot of emotionality to this, this book.
You closed it and you're just sitting there quietly and you looked emotional.
So you know how you were saying that the beach reads leave you feeling better than you started, ideally. I like things that often make me feel sad, but there's a beauty to it. It's like a beautiful sadness that you're like, I love that a piece of art can make me feel sad.
Right.
And that's something that's special and not easy to do.
True.
And she can do that. So This One Summer follows a protagonist. She's quite young. I can't remember. I think it's 12, 13, somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. And it is the summer between her childhood and her adolescence. In the summer, they go to a cabin and she has a cabin friend. They see each other every summer, but only in the summer.
Right.
And the friend is a couple of years younger, so is still very much a child. And the protagonist is going I don't know if I'm into these things anymore. And she's feeling alienated because she's growing up is what it is. Mm-hmm. And then she sees the teenagers around this little town that they're in, and she's trying to kind of latch on there, but she doesn't feel on that world either. We talk a lot about the time between childhood and adulthood, that kind of 17 to 20 area when people are becoming adults, and to some extent at least.
Yeah.
But we don't talk nearly as much about childhood to adolescence, that kind of 10 to 14, or I guess we do, you and I do, because I watch so many movies that are in that. All those Japanese movies I love so much are in there. So it deals with that, and it's just so pitch perfect for that time in your life. Mm-hmm. And like I said, with having the vocabulary to describe things, and I don't mean that in a literal words, but when you are 11, you can't articulate what you're feeling.
No.
And she is doing it so well. I think she wrote this when she was 40 years old, but she articulates that experience so perfectly that it throws you back into that time. It's also kind of depression adjacent. There's a character who's going through a lot, and it's hard. It is rough what's happening kind of in the background of this one, but brilliantly done. There's this one other little kind of touchstone about misogyny, about how this girl kind of internalizes things that she's heard and then starts replicating that. And you just see how even well-meaning people can fall into these traps when something becomes normalized. They take that on themselves, and how those cycles of misogyny or violence or anything like that, how those kind of perpetuate. And that being said, it's just a story about two girls one summer, but it has all of that in it. It's maybe my favorite of her work. It was very good. And then the last one I'll talk about, I think I've actually talked about on this podcast in passing before, and which I also have in my hand now, and that is Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me.
Was this a YRCA last year?
Yes.
Okay,
so
that's why I remember it.
Yeah. I talked about it on the YRCA roundup I did. Yes. Not the most recent one, but the one the year before. So it came out in 2019, and she's working with a different artist here. On its surface, it is a queer coming-of-age story, like many of her books are, but it is so world-weary, but also still so fresh and naive, because this character is in a toxic relationship with this girl, and it does something that I don't see a lot. We often see a beautiful woman as being portrayed as mysterious, enigmatic, but having some charisma. Everyone wants to be near her.
Right.
And that's a thing we see a lot.
The cool girl, yeah.
Yeah. But in this one, we see how that person is using all of that to her advantage and to manipulate people. It's kind of ripping that gloss of that they're mysterious.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're just an aloof asshole.
Yeah.
That's the reality. So that's what I mean, that she combines those naive feelings of oh, this person's so mysterious. I want to be near them, and I want to be next to them. I want to be seen by them.
Yeah, soak in their coolness.
And it breaks that down to show you how, that's not a positive character trait. If you feel graced just because someone bestows their attention on you, that's not a good thing. There's a lot of dark side to that, and it deals with that. It also has a really like dynamic cast of LGBT characters they're like diverse in all sorts of different ways, because we often see like if you have a gay character in a book, like they're the one. That's what gay is. Yeah. And this is not that. There's a good spectrum in it. So there's a great representation in all of her books, and just a great dichotomy of looking at something with very fresh feelings, but still old eyes, if that makes sense.
That's a really interesting balance of things.
Yeah, I read so many novels for kids and teenagers, and those often rely on that whole the world is against me, because it kind of feels like that when you're a teenager. But most adult authors will say like, yeah, the world is against them. The teacher is so mean. The bully is so bad. But in reality, that's not the case. So this plays with that whole world is against you thing, but shows kind of the selfishness of that. The world's not actually against you. The sad, lonely truth that a lot of the characters realize is like, you know what? Most people just don't even think about you.
True.
And
yeah, the world doesn't care about you.
Is that better or worse? I don't know. It seems sadder, and a lot of these characters feel that. But then that is often contrasted with how important and exhilarating it can be to be that age and then find your place, find your niche, find your people. And it's, just a good play of all of those things. So if you are... First, if you're like a queer teenage girl, read all of her stuff. You're going to love it.
Sounds like the right audience.
Yeah, but also if you just love the humanity of these types of stories, if you're older and want to remember what it was like or what people might be going through today, I think check out pretty much everything she's done. I'm going to go read her novels now, I think, because I love all of these so much. Yeah. Or maybe I'll go read that run she did on X-23. Which is like the female Wolverine. Oh. And then she did She-Hulk. She does a lot of female characters because that's kind of her thing. But she also did like a bunch of Venom and stuff like that. So she's all over the place. So go check out the works of Mariko Tamaki. My two favorites personally are This One Summer and Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me.
Perfect. Okay, it's time for our second sponsor of the episode.
And that is the Edmonton Community Foundation and their podcast, the Well Endowed Podcast, which is hosted and produced by Andrew Paul and Lisa Pruden. It explores the impact of passionate people who are working to make Edmonton a strong, vibrant city to live in. The Edmonton Community Foundation helps people create endowment funds, and this podcast tells the stories of how those endowments intersect with the community. If you want to listen or just find out more about the podcast, you can subscribe at thewellendowedpodcast.com, or you can listen to them wherever you are listening to us right now. Okay, Samantha, we're ready for it. What are we going to be watching for our big watch next week?
Okay, so you know how like everything from the late 90s and early 2000s is back now?
Is it?
Yeah.
No, I did not know that, actually.
The fashion, the like...
See, I see things further back than that. I see like all of, like every woman in her 20s is dressed like my kindergarten teacher from like the early 90s.
Oh, yeah. No, now it's like low-rise jeans. And
wait, that's back?
Yeah. And those,
the jeans I see are so high.
Because the older generation is still holding on to the high-rise jeans, which I will die with.
So
I'm never going
back. Who's wearing low-rise jeans now?
The youngins.
Like how young is youngin? Like, because we're old now, remember?
The like... probably 15 to 25-year-olds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
We are old now. So a full decade younger than us. And then a decade younger than that. So like...
So 2 decades is what you're saying?
2 decades younger than us. God. We're so old. So low-rise jeans. Do you remember those like baby doll t-shirts
that
were like cropped and they had like glittery letters on them.
So much. I bought one of those for my high school girlfriend.
Yeah, and like the lettuce trim on the sleeves and
yeah.
on the bottom. Yeah.
Oh man, you're taking me back.
And like those flip-flops, they weren't flip-flops, they were like slides, but they were like a platform, and they had the black elastic on top, and they went thwack, 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 thwack as you walk. Mm-hmm. Those are now $90.
What?
Yeah, I remember getting them at Aldo for like $20.
So is your thing old shoes?
No, my thing is
I hope it's old shoes, because I have a lot to say about old shoes, actually.
I know you do. You still have some of your old shoes.
Well, now that we're talking about this, I work with kids a lot, and they'll be talking about basketball shoes and like how they're trying to get all these replicas and they're lining up for them, and I'll just be like, oh, I have those. And like, what do you mean you have them? You already got them? They don't come out yet. And I was like, no, I have the originals. Yeah. And they're like, what? Those cost thousands of dollars. How'd you get them? I was like, I wore them to play basketball.
You got them
as a child.
In the 90s. Yeah.
I wish I didn't wear them because I could sell them all and retire.
Yes.
But I
know the sneaker game, is that what it is?
Sure, yeah.
That's how you make all your money now.
Yeah, on the sneaker game.
I remember I used to manage a store on White Avenue. So if you're not from Edmonton, White Avenue is like the trendy kind of shopping and drinking street.
It was.
And so the store next door was Foosh. Do you know Foosh?
No.
Okay, so they sold sneakers and like cool clothes, basically.
Oh, I love cool clothes.
Yeah, so sneakers, and every Saturday morning there would be a lineup of probably 25 to 30 people waiting to do a lottery to be able to buy a pair of whatever shoe was being released.
Gotcha.
So I'd show up to work on Saturday morning at like 8 o'clock, and there would be a huge lineup down the block of people who were just like waiting out in minus 20 temperatures to buy whatever $1,700 pair of shoes they could get their hands on. Yeah, so I think that's crazy, but some people apparently have made a lot of money doing that.
So the thing of the week is shoes.
No, it's not.
Okay, so we're going back to the late 90s?
To the early 2000s.
Okay.
And we are going to be watching the 2002 hit movie, Crossroads.
The Britney Spears movie.
Yes, because I'm pretty sure I watched it, because this, like, Britney Spears was prime Samantha, like, young girl music. And so we are going to be watching this. I do not remember a second of this movie.
Okay, so we're doing Crossroads.
We're doing Crossroads.
I don't want this to take anything away, because the premise is you bring me something that you love that I haven't seen. I've actually seen Crossroads.
Okay, I figured you had.
But I am so down to watch this movie.
Okay, so it has Zoe Saldana in it, and Taryn Manning from Orange is the New Black. She plays Pensatucky. And Britney Spears, of course. This is golden era Britney Spears. And I am really excited to delve back into this time and to see all the fashion that I'm currently seeing on people.
Oh man, these pants are going to be so low.
Who were not alive when this movie came out. Oh yeah, there's going to be a lot of hip bones. A lot of hip bones, a lot of navels. Really, I'm just continuing the step up. Like,
yeah, a little bit, yeah.
As much torso as we can get in a movie. So do you remember when you first saw this movie?
I didn't see it then. So I don't want this to color things for what you think I'm going to say next week, or for our listeners who are deciding whether or not to watch it. I watched it on the premise of this is a terrible movie and it's worth watching for how bad it is.
Okay.
But what I do want to say for people who are like, I don't want to watch some Britney Spears movie. If you're like, I want to watch a Britney Spears movie, absolutely, go watch it. You'll have a great time. But if you're saying like, I don't want to watch that, I think you kind of do.
Yeah.
I think you should watch it because I think I'm going to have a lot of thoughts. I don't remember much about it.
I don't remember a second of this movie.
I remember like two things specifically. And I was like, holy fuck, did that just happen in a Britney Spears movie? But we're not going to get into it.
I'm really excited.
Yeah, me too.
I am very, very excited. And yeah, I think I want to hear what you have to say about it. Because we've had a few conversations where you've mentioned Crossroads. Indy's bringing it up all the time.
Yeah, I talk about it all the time.
But I don't remember it, and I feel like this is a pivotal movie of my youth that I need to like revisit.
Another thing I know is that the director of this also directed Half-Baked and Billy Madison.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Is that good or bad?
That's for you to decide.
Okay.
It's bizarre that the woman who directed, Tamara Davis is her name, directed Half-Baked, Billy Madison, and Crossroads. Is that it's all the same person. That's kind of, that's wild.
Do you have any, like, guesses on how we're going to feel after we watch it?
My only thing is, I think next episode's going to be a good episode.
Okay, great.
That's what I have to say. And CB4, she did CB4.
What's CB4?
CB4? Cell Block 4?
No, I don't know it.
Oh man, we should watch CB4.
Okay, so I think as our final thing for the episode, I don't often bring trailers, but I literally cannot remember this movie at all, so I'm hoping this might like spark some memories for me. We're just gonna watch a quick trailer.
Lucy. Baby, we're gonna be late. Just iron it for you. Kit. Excuse me.
Dad, customer!
And Mimi.
Let's do this thing.
They're the best of friends. Growing up.
Why are you stopping?
Henry, this isn't how I hoped it would be.
It's weird because this is exactly how I hoped it would be.
And on the road.
Move it, Ben, let's go already! Who's the guy?
That's Ben. He's really cool.
Towards everything life has to offer. And anything that can happen along the way.
We're sorry.
I'm a guy, and that's my car. It's the one thing that hasn't been taken over by checks.
Okay. What we have is now, and right now, we have each other. Let's go, girls.
Crossroads.
I feel like I could talk at least an hour about that trailer.
Me too. I have some thoughts.
So first off, MTV Movies, which didn't last long.
No.
You start off with Britney Spears jumping on a bed in her underwear right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Dan Aykroyd's in this movie.
Yes.
Wild.
There's so many things about this movie. She's wearing like a bucket hat.
Yeah.
When
that's
we
back now.
meet the love interest. Yeah, everybody has bucket hats. I refuse to bucket hat again.
Well, you at best look like Blossom, but I think you people usually look like a 5-year-old.
Yeah, or some sort of backwater fisherman man.
Fisherman man.
I know
Fisher
it's hard.
man.
Oh my goodness. And that Clinique compact, I don't know if you saw it. It was like green, and Zoe Saldana is looking into it while she's saying we don't have the money to fix the car. Everybody had one of those.
And the song that I quote most often, Not a Girl,
yes!
Not Yet a Woman, was written for this and really ties back into all those books that I was talking about.
I was going to say, I cannot believe when we were talking about Mariko Tamaki, we didn't make a Not a Girl, Not Yet a Woman reference.
Yeah.
I feel like we
for
missed
this
out.
movie, I think,
yes.
right? Yeah.
So I am very excited to see this. I am pretty sure I did not see it.
What? Really?
I don't remember any of that.
Okay.
Kim Cattrall's her mom?
Whoa. Spoilers. That's a thing. It's a reveal. It was in the trailer.
It was in the trailer. Sorry, I thought everything in the trailer was free game.
Yeah, it should be, but they shouldn't have put that in the trailer.
Okay.
That trailer looks like what I wanted Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants to be. Mm-hmm. But, again, I saw it once many, many years ago. I don't think that trailer is what this movie is.
What? Oh no, now I'm very sad.
But we'll see. That looks like Good Time Romp.
It does.
I don't remember it being a Good Time Romp.
It's like Girl Gang, Gal Pal, Fun Time.
Yeah. Which is a better title also.
Girl Gang.
Fun Pal, Gal Time. What was it?
Girl Gang. I don't remember.
Fun Time, Gal Pals.
Fun Time, Gal Pals.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, now I need
a tattoo that says that.
Yes, I do. That too. And it has to be like really low on my hip bone.
Yeah. But it still shows off in your low-rise Britney Spears jeans.
Right next to the place where I put the Playboy Bunny sticker when I go to the tanning bed.
Yes. Easy, Christina.
It was just such a thing back then. I remember all the girls who went to tanning did that. I tried tanning once. It was too hot. I didn't like it. Yeah. It's like all the sun in a full day in 8 minutes.
I think that's how they sell it, actually. That's what the sign says.
Apparently, I wasn't the target audience.
No.
So, okay. Are you excited to watch this movie?
I really am.
Me too.
Let's go watch it.
Okay. We'll see you next week when we talk about Crossroads from 2002, starring Britney Spears, Zoe Saldana, and Taryn Manning.
3 girls and apparently some guys' journey to sell their souls to the devil to gain musical abilities.
Oh. Okay, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Did you have more to say?
Oh, I have so much more to say.
You had to save it for next week.